And we are live. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 31st ever episode of the Best Phone Plans Podcast. I'm Stetson,
And I'm Dennis.
and today we are talking about upcoming features for US Mobile, some updates to prepaid carriers such as Red Pocket and Boom Mobile. And then Dennis has prepared a pretty awesome segment about why Dish Wireless may be in serious trouble. So I think without further ado, Dennis, we should kind of just dive right into this. First off, how are you doing?
Doing fantastic at always as always. How about yourself, my man?
I'm doing well. I'm on vacation right now, so I've got a little bit of a different background for anyone who's tuning into the live stream. But it's great to have everyone here. And yeah, I think this is the podcast. So Dennis and I love to just dive right into the main topics for this one. Dennis, up first, we've got upcoming features for US Mobile. Do you know what these are? I didn't really tell you these too much beforehand. Do you have any guesses?
Um, I'm relatively in the know because of the Reddit post that we talked about from a while back. If I'm taking a guess, it has to do with ultra wideband support coming in. Finally on US Mobile side. Wi-Fi calling, I believe, coming to iPhone on Verizon side. Uh, or maybe it was GSM side. Something to do with Wi-Fi calling, and then eSIM support.
Yeah. So here's what we got. There was a post on Reddit. We have user Panguy757 asking for updates on ultra wideband 5G access on Super LTE, Wi-Fi calling, and I'm trying to see if there was a fourth one, but I think those were actually the big ones. It was just kind of those. And eSIM. So let's kind of break these down and when we can expect to see these features come in. Ahmed actually replied to the post, and Dennis, you kind of nailed it with those features. Let's start with Wi-Fi calling. I mean, we did this stream a while back. How important is Wi-Fi calling to you? We talked about all of the best features of phone plans. Dennis, how important was Wi-Fi calling to you personally?
For me, it was a must-have, but for the audience, based off the survey that you did on Twitter and on the Patreon and on YouTube, it didn't appear to be as important as I thought it would be for people.
Yeah, it was kind of like, I think it could go either way. Like you could say, all right, like 60% of people said it was a nice to have feature, they didn't need it. And you could also say that 60% of people said it was a feature they thought would be nice to have or they needed it, one of those two different options. What we have right now from US Mobile is they have officially launched Wi-Fi calling on GSM LTE for Android phones and now for iPhones. So if you're on the GSM LTE network, iPhone users now get Wi-Fi calling. You may need to get a new SIM card. So feel free to reach out to US Mobile support and they're happy to hook you up with one of those. But that's here, which is great. And then Wi-Fi calling on Super LTE. This is kind of the one topic everyone wants. They all want Verizon coverage and to get Wi-Fi calling. And if I'm checking my notes here, I think this is coming out towards the end of this year. So I think they said kind of before holiday 2021, and that's when they'll be able to get it out to their customers. They've basically bumped it up in their development timeline. So would that get you to switch? I know Verizon just isn't good for you in your area, Dennis.
I mean, to be clear, I tested out US Mobile because of the. I don't know if I'm gonna realize I was serious about the bet, but like or the promise, but I tested out US Mobile. Like it's a really cool service. I think it's awesome. I just wouldn't switch because, as you mentioned in a lore to Stetson, Verizon isn't very good in my market, and to use the GSM based side of US Mobile doesn't make sense. 'Cause I got the Magenta Max plan with T-Mobile. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's funny. Like when you test out a cell phone carrier, you almost have to separate the wireless service from the actual kind of experience of using the platform, like the application, the account dashboard, because ultimately, like US Mobile is only going to be as good as Verizon is in your area. or as good as T-Mobile is in your area. And those networks just vary so much from location to location.
Right. So, like, if we're looking at the company, I think everything the company is doing is fantastic. They are leaps and bounds ahead of many, many MVNOs that are out there when it comes to their app and the feature set that's in there. I mean, it gets pretty detailed, you know what I mean? And the flexibility that they offer with, for people that don't need unlimited, you can buy like so many minutes and stuff like that's super cool. I love their unlimited family pricing. They're probably one of the best when it comes to MVNOs, when it comes to actual family plans that I can think of off the top of my head, especially because you get those 2 free streaming services that you can
Yeah.
choose. And I really appreciate how they do that. Like, unlike T-Mobile, where it's like you can only have Netflix and it's done this way, US Mobile's just like, yo, just pick one from this like pot of streaming services, or one from this
Yeah.
pot of gaming services, or whatever you want, right? I appreciate that. So, but was there anything else you really wanted to talk about on this sort of seg?
Yeah. There's two more things. So we talked about Wi-Fi calling, 5G ultra wideband access. US Mobile uses the Verizon network on what they call their super LTE network because they're not allowed to use Verizon branding. I think the big elephant in the room is that, where is ultra wideband? Last year, 2020, US Mobile teased ultra wideband coming soon in brand new unlimited plans, and those kind of never happened. And then it's kind of been this feature that's been building up. So Dennis, any guesses on when you think Wi-Fi calling will be here? And then I'll present the sort of quasi-official reply, and then when I think it'll come.
I mean, knowing Ahmed, he'll release it as soon as it's ready to go.
Yeah.
So the answer is whenever US Mobile says it's ready to go.
That is such a great answer.
I was gonna say, I mean, if I had to guess, I mean, I believe they can make it by end of year. I mean, it's not like it's the hardest thing to roll out. Clearly, other people have been able to do it before, so I'd say by end of year.
So what the official response was, or I'll say quasi-official response, what Ahmed said in the reply on Reddit is that US Mobile should get access by the end of, I think he said end of June. I'm just checking this now. Yeah, end of June. And it'll take them about 2 days in the development team to deploy that. So I estimated July 2nd as when they would get it. I haven't been able to test it. I don't think they've officially announced it yet because I think they would want to make a big splash about getting access and being able to offer those speeds. But if you're a listener and you want to try it out, let me know. I have US Mobile and I'll be testing it out very soon. Dennis, I think you're right. I think US Mobile super overambitious about getting 5G access. This might not be something they have total control over. Like, it may be up to Verizon, but I think you're right. End of year is when we're likely going to see it. And that's kind of my prediction too. I think by the end of the year, we'll get ultra wideband on US Mobile.
Yeah, I mean, that's really the end of it all, right? Like, it's all about what Verizon says.
Yeah, it kind of stinks. I mean, we saw Verizon rolled out ultra wideband access to their prepaid plan. There's a $70 prepaid plan that got it. And Visible has it, but it's capped at 200 megabits per second. So we're kind of in this like weird, like some plans are getting it and some aren't. So we're kind of just waiting.
Basically, the only Verizon plans that are getting unlimited are plans that are owned by Verizon, essentially. There's not an MVNO that's out there at the moment that I can think of off the top of my head. Actually, that's a lie.
Xfinity.
Yeah, Xfinity Mobile. Xfinity Mobile, you're right. And Spectrum, I believe, too.
Yep.
But outside those two, there's not, like, Red Pocket isn't getting it right. Straight Talk isn't getting it. So.
Yeah. It's just weird. I actually think now that you mention it, this is kind of crazy to say, but I think Wingtel, that used to be really well known for their AT&T plan, I think they have it. Like, I remember doing a test and being like, oh wow, they also have it. We just had Carlos Estek tune into the live chat saying Total Wireless has millimeter wave of all carriers. So I think the bottom line here is I need to test out Total Wireless, and for US Mobile, unclear where this delay is coming from. My gut instinct is it's Verizon, and Dennis, as you mentioned, they're going to be rolling that out as soon as possible, and hopefully we get it end of year. Final feature, eSIM support. Any guesses for this?
I don't know, man. Hit me.
So yeah, here's the update, and this will kind of close out this topic. But what US Mobile said in the response is they of course want to launch eSIM as soon as possible. We just saw T-Mobile launch their eSIM free trial, Mint Mobile launch their eSIM free trial. Great way to allow customers to easily activate and try out your plan on their device. It's awesome. US Mobile is saying there was an issue with the eSIM partition that was created for them. I'm assuming by Verizon, as that's the main carrier they want to use eSIM with. And they've had some setbacks and it's been frustrating, but they're going to get there. I think what they're waiting on is they say 3 weeks for the partition to be created and then for them to kind of get that fixed. And then it'll probably take them another 2 weeks to finish building out their in-house software layer for end users. And this put my date. So the post was written actually last month, Thursday, June 3rd. That puts eSIM possibility around, oh my God, Dennis, today, July 8th. Is it here? I think, again, they would have made a big splash about it. So I don't think it's going to be here. I would say this is a Q4 thing. Like, I think if they can get eSIM and 5G before the end of this year, I think that's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I think if they're gonna do this, they'll probably do it all three in one go.
Oh, that would be sick. Yeah,
So
like
like,
another huge update.
yeah, like I don't think they're gonna like piecemeal it, right? Like if they get like for example, when it comes to eSIM, I think they're gonna wait until they have eSIM not only just for the Verizon profile, but I think they're gonna want it on the GSM side too. Like I think they
Yeah.
want to provide some synergy across that, and then Wi-Fi calling, same deal. I think it's gonna be like as soon as they get eSIM, they're probably gonna have Wi-Fi calling developed, and 5G ultra wideband will just be like a little icing on the cake type of deal.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, if they'll probably do a huge announcement, maybe fall. If they can get it out by Black Friday, that will just go super well with like any kind of Black Friday promo. And I'm excited as anyone else is. I think the US Mobile team, the dev team, is probably the most excited about these features. Like they want these rolled out. So for any US Mobile customers or developers listening to this, developers, thank you for your work. Wishing you the best of luck building out these features. And I'm excited. I'm super excited.
Hey,
Uh, yeah.
speaking of big announcements, did you see Mint Mobile with the Bobby promotion?
Dude, I did see that. That was crazy. Dennis, what was the promo? And also, what were your thoughts on this?
So the promo was for the, Mint Mobile's 4 GB plan. Basically, you could get it basically for I think it was 2,500.
Yeah.
You can get that plan for 25 years.
25 years. Yeah. So I think Bobby, the baseball player, or was he football? No, I think it was baseball.
I'm not
God,
that big on
this is
sports,
maybe
but
no. This is really embarrassing. Well, anyway, Bobby, forgive me for not following sports and missing the mark on that one. But he signed a contract, $1 million a year for 25 years, even if he stopped playing. And so Mint did something similar. You could get Mint Mobile service $100 a year for 25 years. In a Mint Mobile fashion, you just paid the full price up front for that. Dennis, is this a good value? Like, do you think people should have jumped on this bandwagon, locked in? Because that's basically 50% off. Like, for perspective, the plan is normally $15 a month. And if you do the monthly factoring here, the 25-year plan came out to around $8 a month and some change. What do you think?
I have four main issues with it.
Yeah.
One is that data usage is going to continue to go up over time. And 4 GB today isn't really considered a lot, in my personal opinion. And I definitely don't think it's going to be considered a lot even 2 years down the line once we see 5G really start going full steam ahead. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's kind of like one issue. Now, granted, Mint did say that if like they remove the 4 GB plan, they bump up the data, you'll get the whatever the lowest is at that time. You know what I mean? So that's cool, but still, my second problem is 25 years is a long time. I don't even know if I'm going to be living in this house for 25 years. I might, you know what I mean? Like, it is a long time. So things could happen with, say, T-Mobile, where they're not good, like not good anymore. Maybe something happens with Mint, and they're no longer going to be using the T-Mobile network, because we've seen something like that happen with Wing. Something could just happen to something could just happen to Mint in general. I'm not saying something would, but I mean, who's to say that T-Mobile doesn't do what an AT&T did and decides to buy like a Mint, for that like that flanker brand, or something like that. And who's to say they honor that? You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Dennis, all good points.
I just look, by my nature, you already knew I had a problem with buying a year in advance. So to commit to something like this for 25 years, it wasn't the move for me. That being said, I do think it's a pretty okay deal if you're looking at it from like a financial standpoint, like month by month. And if you know you can live in those constraints, that's cool too. And I also thought it was kind of funny and cool. In fact, I think Mint was making a joke that after the 25 years, they might take everybody out for lunch to bought it or something like that on Twitter.
Oh, yeah, with Ryan. I was like, dang, I kind of wish I bought one just for kicks.
Just for the kicks. But I don't know. I mean, do I think it was a good deal? Do I think it was a really ingenious idea for marketing? Absolutely. Do I think it was funny and good to talk about? Also, absolutely. But not the move for me personally.
Yeah, I think honestly the cost, I think the pricing could go either way. Like we have some people in the comments saying that, you're paying up front, you're getting 50% off, and with inflation, you're actually getting a better deal over time because you've already bought the service. And, maybe the price changes in the future for cell phone plans.
I would disagree with that. I would say inflation hurts the value of this because inflation means that your dollar is being devalued over time, which means $8 25 years from now might be worth like $1 in our eyes. You get what I'm saying?
I see. Yeah, actually, now that you bring that up, it would make sense. Like the data amount would increase with that plan. And if for whatever reason they locked you into only 8 gigs, then that wouldn't be great.
It's 4 gigs, but they said
4 gig, yeah, excuse me.
But they said they would increase, but that's not the point I was making. I meant like $1 today is worth more than $1 next year. So
yeah.
I don't know what the actual inflation breakdown is, but I just know that you're technically basically whatever amount of savings is, it's very minute. And also the main point that I'm getting at too is that we're going into a world where unlimited is going to become the kind of norm, the de facto norm in this in this country. I feel like like tiered data buckets, they're kind of existing right now for like a niche space for those people that are very frugal minded. But I think the future going forward, as capacity doesn't really become an issue for mobile devices, is we'll just see different flavors of unlimited with prioritization being the differentiating factor, hotspot, and maybe other bundling techniques, something along those lines. Basically, like you have your Visible and you have your Verizon postpaid, and it's almost getting down to just buying it based off a brand more than anything else.
Yeah. No, I think you're totally right. And Chris from Coverage Critic had a great article that I liked where it's like, you could invest $1,000 today, and with an average annual return of 8%, that $1,000 would be like $5,000 at the end of the 25-year mark. So it doesn't make sense. Either way, Dennis, Mint sold, what did they say? 124 plans. That's crazy. And Dennis, do you know how much that is?
124 plans times 2,500?
Yep. He's doing it out. Drum roll, please.
That is $310,000.
Yep. So Mint just made $310,000 in one day with these plans. And here's the kicker, Dennis. If Mint were to invest that money and average an annual percentage return of 8%, it would grow to a whopping $2.1 million. So I know Ryan and the Mint team were joking that they weren't talking to Gary, the finance guy. Something tells me Gary's actually pretty happy with how this whole thing turned out.
I mean, I wonder though, but I will just say this though. It'd be interesting if Mint did this.
Yeah, what would they do?
What if they took that money, actually did put it into an investment fund, and let it mature over 25 years? And donated or something like that to like a charity or something like that.
That would be pretty cool. Like they take their cut to cover the wireless cost or whatever, and then they like donate to charity. That'd be pretty cool. It's also in 25 years. Like it'd be sick if they could figure out some way to do that today. And that's almost like what Reach Mobile is doing. Like they donate, I think, 10% of their plans to a cause of your choice, which is pretty neat.
I just think it'd be cool, something like that. But
that's Mint. I want to talk about T-Mobile eSIM test drive. This one's pretty quick. Dennis, do you see this?
No, what's up?
T-Mobile launched a test drive. They are the first major carrier. They've offered a test drive for a while, so I don't want to come out of nowhere saying this is brand new. And you're probably familiar with that, right? Where you got this T-Mobile, is it like a MiFi? I think is what it was, just a hotspot device.
Their first gen version was giving out an iPhone
Oh,
SE.
this is the third one. So what were the three generations of this?
Yeah, so first gen was giving out an iPhone. Excuse me, I said SE. I meant to say iPhone 5S. First gen was iPhone 5S.
Wow, that far back.
Second gen was the MiFi hotspot device. Third gen is the eSIM thing, which I am familiar with this. I thought we talked about it already. That's why I was a little confused. But yeah,
Oh, yeah, I think I did a video on it, but I just wanted to quickly
yeah,
rehash
yeah,
it.
yeah. But yeah, the third thing now is T-Mobile's doing eSIM. So basically, if you have an iPhone, because it's really the only thing that works on at the moment.
Yep. And I want to clarify, Dennis, you were correct. I was mistaken. It's iPhone 10R and 10 or newer, 10S or newer. That's it. 10S and 10R or newer.
Yep. But basically, if you have an iPhone, you can actually test out T-Mobile's network using your eSIM. You get 30 gigs for 30 days. Pretty cut and dry, pretty simple. And it only takes like 5 minutes to knock out. From my understanding, the way that they're doing this is it's like linked up to your iCloud. That's how they're like. That's how.
Yeah, that's how I was. My understanding is too, because what happens is when you activate an eSIM plan on iPhone, it actually becomes tied to your Apple ID. And then I did a video on like if you want to transfer an eSIM, you just sign into your Apple ID, you tap a few buttons, your eSIM plan will transfer from your old iPhone to your new iPhone thanks to that Apple ID. So I think it does make sense. T-Mobile just checking your Apple ID when you sign up. And yeah, it's a full plan. They advertise 30 gigs or 30 days, whichever comes first. But you are getting, you can make phone calls. You're getting a new number. You get unlimited texting. I think you're missing out on like the international features. And I'm not 100% sure on hotspot. I didn't test that with mine, but otherwise, I mean, this is fantastic to test out the T-Mobile network. Do you
It's
think
the
we're going to see?
best.
It's the best, yeah.
I was gonna say it's the best test drive program I've seen to date. I mean, 30 gigs is pretty robust, and the fact that they're giving you 30 days to use that 30 gigs, you can definitely get a really good idea if T-Mobile is going to be good or not in your market.
Yeah, yeah. And another shout out before we move on to something else is that this is great for international travelers. Like you come to the US, activate on eSIM with T-Mobile's trial, boom, you're good to go. Like you've got your data for the month,
That
free.
is clever. I didn't even think about that.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Like that is such a sweet deal. And then I guess my question to you, Dennis, and this is the big question, right? When are we going to see Verizon or AT&T do this?
Never,
You think never.
never.
Why do
They
you
don't
think
have
that?
because they just straight up don't have to. The
You
reason why,
think, yeah, what are your thoughts?
like the reason why test drive exists for T-Mobile is because T-Mobile still to this day has the reputation for being the discount carrier. They are not known for their quality in their network. They have to convince us, the consumer, that they are good. Because Verizon already in the minds of many, because their lead of LTE last generation is known for a quality network, and AT&T, they're a company as old as the dinosaurs, man. They've been around since Mom Bell, right? They got a reputation, love them or hate them for their billing. They got a reputation for knowing what they got to do. You know what I mean? Plus, they got the first responder contract, and a lot of other government agencies use them and stuff like that. They already got that mind share. T-Mobile is the underdog here. They're the ones that have to prove that their network can hold up in comparison to these other two big companies.
Yeah.
So that's why it exists.
I see that. I would love to see Verizon and AT&T do this. I think if they were to do it, it would be after their C-band is deployed. I think they need that extra capacity boost if they're going to have a lot of customers like suddenly trying out their network, and they want to be able to offer that extra speed too. That's my thinking.
I just don't see it happening. Like they need to have a reason, right? Like at the end of the day, it comes down to money. What does Verizon
Yeah.
get out of doing that? They're still the biggest carrier,
Yeah, I
right?
guess you're right. Yeah.
And then
Like
what is
how many
a
people would switch?
and then what does AT&T get out of putting in the R&D and developing that, right? Like what do
Oh
they
my
get?
God. I don't even know if AT&T could develop that, to be honest. Their
I
backend system is so jank.
I mean they could, but like what do they get out of it is basically what I'm going for here. Like what is it doing for them that a like instead of spending that money, let's just say hypothetically speaking, I'm just making a ballpark number. Let's just say it took them $10 million to make the build codes, do all that other fun stuff, yada yada, to get that up and running, right? They would probably be better served just doing another free iPhone deal. And then they would
Oh,
clearly see people locked in now because of the
yeah.
financing. They got customers and they know it works, right? And it reduces churn. These are the things that they care about. This is the thing that
I see what you're
investors care
saying.
about.
Yeah, I guess from an investment perspective, it sounds like you're saying like T-Mobile's problem is they need to convince people their network is good. Their solution, try out our network. Verizon, AT&T, people already know the network is good from the branding and marketing. Their problem, converting people, getting people to switch over. How do they do it? The free iPhone deal, the free Galaxy S21 deal. People like their phones.
Right. And when you do that, you actually get them locked in. That's the important part, right?
36 months. Yeah. Oof.
See,
Oof.
when you do the free when you do the free give me, right? That customer, they can milk it for 30 days and just leave, right? Or they can be smart like us and go with a prepaid option. AT&T doesn't want that. AT&T
Yeah.
wants you on those postpaid plans where all those fees are and you're paying like a $200 cell phone bill. That's what AT&T wants.
Oh, you're so right. You're so right. Yeah, I think T-Mobile honestly probably just saw what Mint Mobile was doing with their free trial and Ryan Reynolds promoting that and Target and stuff, and like, yeah, this is working really well. We should do this.
Well,
And so I
T-Mobile
think,
also probably saw that they were wasting so many hotspot devices and that this was a cheaper alternative, right?
yeah,
You don't have to give a new phone to someone. They can just use that, and if it's working, they just bring their phone over.
absolutely, absolutely. So I mean, I think that's the test drive. Um, I had two other updates I wanted to touch on, Dennis, and then I think we're going to be ready to dive into your dish segment, which I'm super excited about. Two key updates: AT&T MVNOs no longer having a 5 megabit per second speed cap. So what's going on here? If you saw my ultimate AT&T speed test video, I found that on Pure Talk and Red Pocket, I was getting capped at 75 megabits per second on LTE on those plans. And then I saw on Reddit someone commenting that Straight Talk had that same 75 megabit per second speed cap. So I hypothesized using this data that most, if not all, AT&T MVNOs were capped at 75 megabits per second. And then we had Red Pocket on Twitter reply to my post. They just got access to AT&T 5G and they were getting over 200 megabits per second down. So I think if you're in an AT&T MVNO that gets 5G access, I think that speed cap is going to be gone. You still will be getting the same priority as AT&T Unlimited Extra, at least for my testing and the QCI values. I think AT&T prepaid and the AT&T MVNOs are looking really good for those low-cost options on the AT&T network. That was kind of my update. I don't, Dennis, do you have any thoughts on that? I mean, I kind of just rambled there. No
No,
thoughts. We're gonna go through. Second one is Boom Mobile. I can't believe it. I almost want to do like a story on this. Boom Mobile was sort of a premium AT&T reseller. Is I'll use the word reseller. They were providing AT&T service postpaid. You had 5G. You had eSIM support. They were literally almost reselling AT&T plans, and it sounded like they had a proper agreement with AT&T to make that happen. When we had the Wing fiasco in 2020, where their AT&T plan, AT&T like found out they capped the data from unlimited to, I think it was 30 gigabytes, and then I think it may have gone up to 50 gigs. Boom kind of remained unaffected. And then discreetly, quietly, they actually changed the wording. Boom changed the wording from unlimited to 22 gigs at full speed and then capped at 128 kilobits per second. I was like, that's kind of weird. And then very recently, Boom actually pulled all AT&T plans from their site. So they are no longer offering AT&T service. This makes Los Mobile now probably one of the best premium AT&T resellers. And it just makes me wish the best for Carlos that he's able to keep that deal in place and continue to offer that service. So that was kind of what was going on there. And that's all I got. We actually got two super chats, Dennis. So let's address these. And actually, they might come in naturally. So Austin is asking a question about Dish, and then it looks like Green is just saying that he got Magenta Max getting over 400 to 600 megabits per second in his area compared to 200 megabits per second by AT&T. And yeah, that comes down to coverage and getting that N41 signal.
and I'll just really say it really quickly.
Yeah.
Both of those speeds totally respectable. Like if you're getting 200 megabits per second over your phone,
Yeah.
you're flying, right?
Yeah. All right. Dennis, we've reached the Dish section of the video. I think you've got some great thoughts here. So what's going on with Dish? Hit me.
All right. So Basically, this is more going back to T-Mobile as well. T-Mobile has set a hard date on the shutdown of Sprint's network, and we're not just talking about the legacy tech, we're talking about Sprint's LTE network as well. And there's a big old lawsuit going on between Dish and T-Mobile for obvious reasons. Basically, Dish is in trouble. They're relying on T-Mobile's network right now. If T-Mobile continues forward with shutting down their network, there is going to be millions of customers impacted. We talked about this a little bit when it came to Boost subscribers that need to upgrade their phones for voice over LTE support on T-Mobile's network, but now even the LTE network that Sprint is using is going away.
Yeah. Do we have the date? Like, what is that currently set at? Do we know?
I believe it's I want to say it's next year, but let me double check real quick because I know I sent the link to you and I think I put it in the Discord. Maybe, yes, I did put it in the Discord. Let me open that real quick.
Got it. So yeah, it sounds like T-Mobile.
June 30th.
Okay.
June 30th of 2022.
So that would be in 1 year, exactly, just about.
Yep, that's when the full shutdown happens. No more Sprint anything, basically. All of it's gone. All of it's decommed, and it's been repurposed for T-Mobile's network. So basically, I kind of wanted to talk about what the ramifications of that's going to be going forward. Not only for Dish as a whole, but if you're a current subscriber and you're using the old Sprint stuff, like what happens? Like what's the impact this is going to have? And I think that the impact is that I don't think Dish is going to have enough time to actually set up their own network to become a proper competitor. I think that T-Mobile's essentially killing their competition.
Wow. Yeah. So what's going on? We had Boost Mobile that was a Sprint MVNO that was then purchased by Dish with the Sprint T-Mobile merger. And Dish now basically had a lot of Sprint customers. And then they were partnered with T-Mobile. Like T-Mobile had to give Dish their network access. I think it's for like 3 years for Dish to be able, it might even be longer, for Dish to build out their network and their customers can roam on T-Mobile as Dish is kind of getting up and running. But the problem, it sounds to me, is that those Sprint customers on Boost were budget customers, cost sensitive, and they have dedicated Sprint devices that may not be compatible with the major or any LTE bands on the T-Mobile network, which it sounds like they're going to need in order to get active service. Is that what's going on?
Correct. Basically, there's customers out there that have phones that don't work on T-Mobile's network. Is the gist.
Yeah. Oof. This is tough, Dennis. I mean, what do you think about the lawsuit, and what do you want to see happen here for these customers?
Well, I don't want to impede progress. I basically just want to see, I would say have Dish step up because they are Dish's customers.
Yeah.
But I'm also going to be pragmatic and realistic here, and that Dish doesn't really have the money. So
They're poor.
Well, it's not that. It's just their main revenue source, which is cable, is dying, and they just got their beak wet in the wireless space. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think the happy medium here is, because they're both responsible for this happening, is that T-Mobile and Dish should go like 50-50, get a pool of money together, and they should be giving everybody that is being affected a new compatible smartphone.
Yeah.
Now, I almost want to say T-Mobile should even take more responsibility, because technically speaking, this is in T-Mobile's favor anyway. Getting these people new phones means that they can switch over to T-Mobile, because remember, Dish, whose network hasn't even been deployed yet, it's only going to be 5G, which means these customers are going to need new phones again anyway here in the near future.
Oh, geez. So they almost need like 2 rounds of new phones. Like Dish either needs to go like straight, all right, here's your budget Sprint phone. We're upgrading you to a full-on 5G phone. Like this basically has to be flagship level, right? To get all of Dish's bands that they're going to be using. Like, boom, that's huge. That's expensive. It would be pretty awesome, though. But it sounds like the baby step is just getting them an LTE phone that's going to work with T-Mobile.
Right. That's going to be the baby step. And I either think, like, T-Mobile just definitely has to have a conversation this, because at the end of the day, they win either way, right?
Yeah.
So, first off, replacing those phones needs to happen. But secondarily, Dish needs to get their act together and like pick up the timeline, because here's the thing. I'm being serious. Here's the
Yeah.
thing. Even if T-Mobile wasn't doing this shutdown right now, Dish's lunch is already being eaten by other competitors, and we've kind of lightly touched on them. It's the cable operators. I don't know if you've been paying attention to the quarterly earnings reports, but let's look at who the big winners have been as far as the industry, like the people that are actually picking up like a ton of subscribers. It's Comcast and Spectrum. They got like 5% of the market share right now as far as mobile customers go. And Boost, who started at like 9 million, is shrinking. Their churn rate is like off the chart. I think they're losing like
Yeah.
three customers a quarter. I
Yeah.
can't remember how they 3 customers a quarter. But I think like the measurement is something like 3 dot blah per account or whatever. Like
Sure. You know what's really funny, Dennis, is when Boost was acquired by Dish, and Dish had to cap the data amounts because they literally just couldn't pay for the unlimited data. The comments on that video, when people were learning about the 30, I think it was 35 gigabytes was the cap, they were just outraged. So like, yeah, Boost is terrible now, I'm switching. So it's like, it's funny to see those comments and then to hear this quarterly earnings report. And for me, it's like, yeah, that was pretty obvious. We saw that coming.
Yeah, but it's not good for Dish. Like basically, the way things are shaping out, and this was mentioned in one of the super chats, like Dish isn't going to really be ready to be a competitor until 2023. Like that's when that will be when they took in their baby steps and they can at least compete, right?
Yeah.
And the way this is all breaking down, it to me it seems like they're going to be dead in the water. Like 2022 is going to roll around, and they might be able to keep maybe like a fifth of the Boost mobile customers that they have. Maybe a fifth of them have phones that are already compatible that will actually stay. And that's just simply not going to generate the amount of revenue that Dish needs to be making to continue to make the investments into the network that they need, unless they're going to be taking out some like massive loans or something.
Yeah.
And then it goes back. Sorry.
Well, they need debt to they need to build the network. It's kind of this like chicken and egg thing. The network needs to be there in order for customers to go to it. And Dish needs customers in order to fund and build out the network.
Right. But then there's another problem too, and this is a bigger issue.
What's that?
Up until this point, Dish has not made their presence known to the average day consumer. If you say Dish to someone, they think satellite TV. They don't think cell phone service. And marketing, as T-Mobile has shown, is sometimes even more important than having a good network, you know? And it goes back to like who are the bigger winners right now. If you talk to people that are in the Pittsburgh area, people know who Comcast is. People know that Comcast offers cell phone service. Comcast has those advertisements literally everywhere. Like I was just watching the Stanley Cup on NBC. Every other commercial was something about Comcast's home internet, their TV, or their cell phone service. It was telling me about like get $100 Visa card, you know, X, Y, and Z. I go on Reddit and I look at the side, there's Comcast ads. I go on Facebook, there's Comcast ads. They're everywhere. Dish, nowhere to be seen. Same thing when it comes to T-Mobile, right? They're marketing their layer cake 5G network. It's all over the place. People know that T-Mobile has 5G. You don't know anything about Dish, and that's a problem. So basically, not to be doom and gloom, but I am not feeling that optimistic right now with where Dish is going to be positioned here in the long term if they don't get off to a good start.
Well, here I'll come in with some different perspectives. Not saying these are right, but here are some positives to take into consideration. Dish purchased Ting. Ting has an excellent biller and will be handling the billing for Dish's plans. Awesome. Means they can likely implement changes pretty quickly to their plan pricing and structure, introduce new plans, and adapt quickly. That takes a surprising amount of effort for a lot of the major carriers. You would not believe what goes on in the back end for introducing a new plan and a new like code or whatever. So that's number one. Number two, Ting has phenomenal customer service and support, some of the best in the industry. Now is Dish's opportunity to go from being known as that provider, that Dish TV provider or whatever, with terrible customer service, to the cell phone carrier to go to with top-notch customer service. I mean, we saw T-Mobile take a pretty big drop in customer service after my review video went live because they literally moved their support representatives overseas. Now the best support is typically on Twitter or Facebook. And even then, it's starting to get a little bit hit or miss. Dish, they're a younger carrier. I think they can ramp up customer service and support. They have the tools in place to really handle those support queries. Number 3, 5G only. They don't need any of the nonsense that was 2G, 3G, 4G, or LTE. They can streamline and have an efficient network build out. They can plug and play. They're using Open RAN technology. They may not need all that capital to build out their network. So those are the optimistic points that I have. But yeah, like, what are they up to? They're launching this year, right?
I mean, yeah, and in Vegas where Carlos is, and I will just say, the 5G only thing is a blessing and a curse, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
it's
because they can't
great,
get subscribers.
right? Like it's great for the long term, but you're alienating anybody that comes over to your network. You basically have to get them a new device, and
Yeah,
also more importantly, though, when it comes to business customers, the most profitable customers, they're not going to be having 5G devices. There's a reason why 2G stayed around for as long as it did. It's because there is like simple, like, think like a smart meter for your electric. Stupid stuff like that that like relied on old 2G is the reason why 2G stayed around for so long. And when businesses do
right.
upgrades, like when they replace that with one that's LTE, do you really think they're going to spend the extra money to now invest that into something like 5G, just like that? You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah. So
So
they're
it's
missing out.
and then also don't forget too, having a backup like a backup to your 5G can also be important. I mean, let's look at I mean, granted 5G really still in its infancy, but right now let's look at someone like AT&T, right? Their LTE network clearly performs way better right now than their 5G network does. And it mainly comes down to like the two main reasons of A, AT&T doesn't have like a ton of spectrum allocated to 5G, but B, this is more important, is that LTE, it's matured. It's like reliable. We know how it works. You could do massive carrier aggregation across different bands, right? 5G right now, the only phone that can support 5G carrier aggregation on standalone, I believe, is the Galaxy S21. Not even the Galaxy S20 can do like you can't carrier aggregate different 5G bands on standalone, from my understanding, on like those older Snapdragon modems, right?
Right.
And a very, 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 very small percentage of people are gonna have the phones or the technology that doesn't even exist yet to support the newer things that are gonna be coming out as 5G gets developed with Dish doing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, those are great points. Dish will be missing out on huge business segments, most likely the IoT devices that aren't going to have 5G. They may still get business customers that have voice lines. I think that could be typical. Maybe they'll offer some sort of fixed wireless home internet solution. We'll have to see how that pans out. And otherwise, they will be primarily, I think, kind of consumer brand. But here's kind of an interesting dilemma. Like Dish is both positioned as potentially a premium wireless retailer and a budget wireless retailer. Let me explain what I mean by that. Premium, because you need to have the premium 5G devices in order to use their network. I mean, I guess you could get some more budget 5G devices, but they typically need to be pretty new. And then the budget, because they literally inherited Boost Mobile and Ting and Republic Wireless, or they purchased those carriers. And those were budget focused carriers offering low cost plans for consumers who wanted something affordable. So I don't know. I feel like Dish is kind of in an interesting situation. And this ties in really nicely with the super chat we got from Austin. So, Austin, thank you so much for the super chat on the live stream. Austin asks, Dish is slated to offer service Q3 of 2021 and covers 70% of the US by 2023. Excuse me, Q3 2020, yeah, and 70% by 2023. Where do they fit? Do you see them competing head to head with the big three? Dennis, what are your thoughts here?
I
Where do you
mean,
think Dish is going to slot in to this telecom landscape?
I think Dish is gonna slot in or have to slot in as the budget option, what Sprint was. And I think that's where they're gonna be. The problem, I mean, like that's where they're gonna be at. Like let's just be real. They can't compete with the Verizon with the coverage they're gonna have. The problem is that by the point they get to that point, I'm wondering like if they're even gonna be able to compete in that sphere. Like the budget sphere has been more competitive now than it ever has been in all of history of the mobile space in the US, right? I mean, we got Mint Mobile, we got US Mobile, lots of MVNOs that are accessible and well known to people because they have been marketed on like Super Bowl commercials, like the Mulk commercial that Mint did. You got unlike before.
Uh-oh. Dennis might have dropped everybody. He was just on a rampage. So Dennis said earlier before the show he was experiencing thunderstorms, and if there was a gray out, he may lose connection. So I believe that is what has happened right here. And I'll kind of take it from here to continue talking. I'm sure Dennis will pop back in as soon as his internet is back up and his computer reboots. But and shout out to anyone else who's experiencing thunderstorms right now. I know it's raining where I am in Massachusetts. But yeah, I think, Austin, to address your question, Dish is in kind of an interesting situation. Just as I mentioned before, they are kind of premium because you need that 5G device in order to use their network. But they're also kind of budget with the carriers they inherited. So where do they fit in? I think Dennis is kind of right. In order for Dish to make a splash, their prices need to be affordable, right? Like, why would people sign up for Sprint, a carrier that was maybe less well known, didn't have that reputation? Why are people signing up for T-Mobile? It's because of the price. They're more affordable, and it's testing out that network, seeing if it works for you, and then being like, yeah, this actually is a good network. Let me switch over to it. I think Dish needs to prove that. They need to tell the story that they're affordable and their network works. They're using T-Mobile for the time being until they build out their network. When they cover 70% of the population by 2023, and as they continue building out that last 30%, I think the only way to get people to switch over to Dish is either by accident or by presenting a really good value proposition. They're going to need to be the new Sprint. They're going to need to be budget, affordable, offer perks the other carriers simply can't offer. Maybe it's a whole lot of hotspot data. Maybe it's a whole lot of priority data, which I'm up in the air on it, if it even matters on a new network like Dish, having priority data or trying to distinguish that. But I think hotspot data definitely could. Really good family promotions will probably get more people to convert over and things like that. So that's what I've got. I'll jump to the comment section right now. I mean, Dennis was really such a great player in this story and the one who kind of brought it to our attention. So I'm really hoping he jumps back on here. But yeah, let's see what's going on. Danny is saying it's 100 degrees in Southern California. So happy. And yeah, I think it was a thunderstorm. So we went out. Let's see. If Dish can work a deal with one of the big three to get priority data access, that will be a win. Westerosi Ninja is commenting that. And the thing with Dish, they're building their own network. So it's not about negotiating priority access on Verizon, on AT&T, or on T-Mobile. Dish is basically right now a T-Mobile MVNO that is building their own network to then be a mobile network operator. And we'll have MVNOs that use Dish. So I think really what we need is Dish to be affordable. And I think that's the bottom line. So I'm not 100% sure what bands Dish is going to use. And Shane is commenting back on the Snapdragon 888 could carrier aggregate 5G with standalone 5G with a firmware update. So that's pretty cool. And Dish 5G bands are not all supported on the iPhone 12. Yeah, so Dish is using newer tech phones don't have yet. Yeah, we're just gonna have to wait and see on this one. And I really wish I had more details. They're kind of hyping up their launch. We got that email on Genesis. Project Genesis is what they're doing. And let's see. Dish does not have physical stores. You know what? This is a great, Philip, I love this. Dennis is coming back, everybody. But what we're saying, Dennis, you're very zoomed out on your camera. So if you can hear me backstage, maybe you can punch in a little bit, but I'm going to add you. Dennis is back. And Dennis, what I'm talking about right now, Dish having physical stores, this is another place I think Dish can really accelerate. And it's being online only and getting a super smooth process, making it easy for customers to sign up, get activated, and to get Dish Mobile or whatever they call their service. Yeah. Anyway, welcome back to the show, Dennis. Was that a gray out? Did you? Yeah. My audio is not coming through for me right now. Dennis is just so frazzled. He was like, I know this is going to happen literally before the show, 70% chance. So we're waiting for him to come back.
How about now?
But yeah, yep, Dennis is back. Oh,
Okay.
Guys, cheers, round of applause. Dennis is back. Where's the soundboard? We'll get some applause in there. But yeah, Dish and physical stores.
Yeah. So for anybody that doesn't know, by the way, sorry, there's a terrible storm going on in my area. Power in my neighborhood's not very good. I literally told Stetson, like, if this happens, it's because I had a brownout, which basically is where the power goes out long enough that my computer shuts off, but like I'm not out for that long. And yeah, but I'm back. So what exactly did I miss? I'm really sorry.
Yeah, well, I basically just explained exactly what you just said to the audience, why Dennis had suddenly froze. And then I kind of took some questions from the audience talking about Dish and what was going on. And I think the real question now is like, will Dish have physical stores? What do you think their strategy is going to be around that? And then maybe we can just wrap this up and kind of go on to the after show.
Yeah, I'm totally down to go on to the after show. I did just want to finish my last point. Hopefully it's not too diverged. That you were asking me where Dish was slotted.
Yeah,
I wanted to just finish off that point. I was gonna say, so they're gonna come in hot as like the budget carrier, but I wonder how they're gonna actually perform in that segment. Like if they're gonna actually be able to attain growth, so they can do what a T-Mobile did and eventually position themselves to be more premium. And the reason why I have that feeling or concern is because unlike in the past, we have other people moving into this sphere, not just MVNOs, but like when I was talking about Xfinity Mobile, I told you behind the show, I almost wonder if they're even an MVNO in the traditional sense because they have those, Wi-Fi hotspots, right? Like they have their own infrastructure that they're building out. The cable operators have been participating in these FCC auctions and acquiring spectrum licenses. So in a way, they're almost like regional players, and they have the capex to be able to do, I would argue, maybe a little bit more than what Dish can afford to do. You know what I mean? Because their main profit driver. How much does Comcast make a year? Like so many billions of dollars, right?
Yeah, I have no idea.
It's something stupid crazy to the point where like I feel like if Dish doesn't thrive well enough, I could see them being bought out and acquired by somebody else. Basically, in a nutshell, maybe it's an Amazon.
Oh, okay, yeah. That could be their exit strategy. I mean, I feel like that would just cause more problems. Like Dish was the solution for Sprint to be bought, so it doesn't make sense for them to be bought. But we'll see. Do you think a carrier like Comcast would buy Dish? Is that kind of what you're saying?
I could see. Yeah, I mean, I could see them doing something like that. I mean, dude, we a little off topic. I mean, Comcast has been known to acquire plenty of things. They acquired NBC Universal. They acquired Sky Network out in like Europe. They got their octopus arms all over the place into different things, including they're talking about acquiring Roku at the moment. That's on the table.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Wow.
They got the money, and they love to do their acquisitions if the government doesn't get in the way.
I think that's a pretty good spot to kind of round this out. Yeah, and physical stores, I think they're going to be online. Love to see that. And okay. Last question, Dennis. What streaming service is going to be bundled with the Dish wireless plan? What are we getting?
Probably Sling. Probably
Yeah,
Sling
you're probably
TV.
right. Yeah, 100%. All right.
Unless they get one of those old Sprint. Oh, sorry. I was gonna say unless they get one of those old Sprint contracts like Hulu.
Yeah. That could be. We'll have to see. And either way, I'm excited for Dish. I'm rooting for Dish. I want there to be more competition. I want there to be more affordable prices. I want freaking AT&T to include taxes and fees in their prices. I mean, gee whiz. But that's a story for another day. Dennis, I think we should close out this episode and go on to the after show on the YouTube channel. So thank you to everyone who joined. We really appreciated having you. You can follow us on Twitter at Stetson Doggett and at Dennis BP3. Consider supporting us on Patreon for extra perks, benefits, and behind-the-scenes content. We'd love to have you there. Thank you all for listening. I'm Stetson.
And I'm Dennis.
And we look forward to talking to you in the next episode, hopefully with rock solid internet connections. All right, take care, guys.
Peace.